and render passes. So here I have a scene with a character over here on the left. This little block guy, there he is. I have a sphere with a complex material, bump map, and some emissive shading. I have this helicoil and another sphere in the middle. This is also emissive light, and I have a particle effect. So what does it look like when it's rendered? Something like this. See that? I won't spend too much time just going around the each iteration as it updates in Arnold. But there you go. I'll just stop that for the moment. Place it over here. What we're interested in at this stage, I'm going to go into my perspective, and over here next to my hypershade I'll click my render passes. There they are. Got one called balls, one called light. I'll just delete these for now. So I'll start again. So basically you start going through and adding each different layer for objects that you consider groups. For example, you might have one for each character, and then assets, and for background assets, foreground assets, and maybe a backdrop. You might even have separate layers for lighting, etc. Okay. What is important to, just before I do start creating these layers, is in my actual rendering settings up here. Rendering settings that I have Arnold renderer. I normally put diffuse up to 2 or 3. I'll change that to 3. And then I go to AOVs and AI standard, and I'll come through this list, and for example I've moved direct specular, so I've got direct diffuse. I click this button here. Actually I'll just remove them for now, just so as you can see. So I go direct diffuse, bring that one over. This is what I'm interested in. You guys might be interested in specular, emissive, and what else will I grab from that? That'll do for now. I should really get indirect diffuse as well, but that'll do for the standard. And then I'll go the shadow. You might have shadow map and might not say shadow catcher. With the update to Arnold, you may have a shadow matte instead of catcher. So here I was interested in the shadows, the shadow mask and the shadow matte. Okay, and they should all show up down here. Alright, and of course under common you need to set your image format EXR by default. This is where it will save it to your path. If you want to change that, you can go edit, change project image directory. You can set that up in here. And then you need to come down and of course state your frame range. At the moment it's turned off because I've got single frame. Change that from single. For an animation, now I can put my animations in here. The frame length. Perspective camera, I'll change that to my camera 1, and I'll change this to HD 1080 when I'm ready to do my final production. Okay, I'll close that, come back into my render setup, the passes, and now I'll put them in. So I'll go plus here, and I'll give this one a name. This one might be char for character 1 maybe. And I right click on my layer and I go create collection. Here's my first collection. Now what's interesting here is first what you need to do is select each object that you're going to place into that collection. Being the character, I will select the character. You can either select it here, but I'll select it in my outliner. There he goes. And in this little menu I can click add. There's my character. I'll also select the lights, point light, add that, and I've got an ambient light here, add that, and directional light. Okay, so that's enough for the character. Next one I might have is the ball, so I'll go plus, create a new layer. I'll call this just ball, why not? Right click, create collection, and once again I'll come through here, I'll grab that lava ball, I'll go add, so now I've got the ball in here. Okay, if you want to, by the way, with layers, you can middle mouse click lights, drag that down, just drop it in. Now you get all the lights into that layer automatically. Okay, so you just keep going through and sort all your layers that you wish to have. Okay, I would at least have the minimum of characters in separate layers, your foreground props in separate layers, and background props in other layers, just so as you have some control over turning them on and off. And then you might have your actual environment, so your floor and your walls, etc. Okay, you might even put lights. If you have, for example, lamps, etc., you might put those into different different layers. Okay, and what's interesting here is each collection. Do you notice here it's got drag attributes from attribute editor, and you've got add override here. Well, you can override certain attributes. So for example, maybe on the character, I could go to my character here, this one here, and I could click on the, oh actually we'll do it on the sphere, on the ball. Here it is, the ball. And I could actually select my ball here, and then in the, under where are we? I'm just looking for the channel box, sorry, the attribute editor, and then the ball sphere. So not the sphere one, not the first tab, the second one, and then under there you get your render stats. Of course you could change other areas, but where I'm interested in render stats, because here I can turn the shadows on and off, whether I want this sphere to receive or cast shadows. So for example, I could ask it not to, or even its primary visibility I could turn off and on. So I'll just drag the receive shadows, middle mouse, drag it onto drag attributes here, and now you notice you've got this absolute override. Okay, and here it is here. There it is. So if I click this one on and off, that will be turning the shadows on and off for that particular object within the ball layer. Okay guys, so if I were to click on just ball, if I come, this is what's visible that I'm currently rendering, and if I were to bring it to, here we go, and now only the ball is rendering. There we go. If I click this one, just now only the character is rendering. So in effect, this will render out all these different layers, and here's just the ball, and let's get everything. Okay. Okay, I hope that's helpful. And once, of course, you've created your render layers, then you need to kick off your rendering. So you'll go into render, and you'll go render and create a render sequence. You don't use a batch render unless, of course, you have an Arnold license. So you go render sequence, and that will kick off your actual renders, and I'll place those into the a folder structure ready to take into After Effects. Okay guys, thanks for watching.